So today we're actually going to be playing with this data set. Now we have data set of a statement of account. Mind you, this particular data set is something that I've been working with for a very long time. Like I've been working with it for a very long time. Aditya, are you trying to say something?
Yes, I can see your
Oh,
screen.
I can't hear you. You're trying to say something. Oh, sorry, hold on, please. Oh, yeah. Talk. Let me hear you. You can speak now. I thought you were trying to say something.
I can see your screen.
Seriously, Jessica, what of you? Can you see my screen? Ah, Adija. Abraham, what of you? Adija, network is really doing you strong thing. Oh.
This network is not doing me well today, honestly.
What did you do to them now?
Nothing, no. Here it has come.
So, sorry, just hold on. So this is a statement of account. Actually, this is my company statement of account, but I adjusted a lot of the parameters. So this statement of account is something the real data that I've been working with since 2022, but I adjusted a lot of the parameters there for data security and data governance. All of those things that has to do with data governance. So I'm going to open them so you can have a look. Let me increase the yeah. So can you guys see the screen? So you notice we have date. You all know how statement of account is now. We have date, we have description, we have
See anything.
sorry man. Okay, what do we do now? This one that your network is doing you strong thing. Okay, she has gone out. So we have date, we have description, we have allocation, amount, we have balance, we have account ID, channel, state, region, subscription type. Now we have this for 2022, first half of 2023, second half of 2023. You know what second half is? That is half a year. So the first 6 months, the second 6 months for 2023, the first 6 months for 2024, the second 6 months for 2024. So if I open the last data set, you find out that all of them are nearly this. They have the same column. You understand? So they have the same column. That's transaction date. Hold on. Yeah. So they have transaction date, description, allocation, amount, balance, account ID, channel, state, region, and subscription. Now, what I want to do is I want to combine this into one statement of account. Now, the first thing I can do is just to come here, copy everything here, and just paste it under where this one stop. I'll just paste it, and I'll do the same thing for the rest so that I can have one sheet. Or I can go to my Power Query, right? Hold on. This is my Microsoft Excel. Go to, I'll create a new sheet. Let me close all of this. Confirm if you can see my screen. I'll go to data. Remember, if you want to activate Power Query, you have to get a data source. Our data source is from the web, which is from web. So if you come to get data, file, you can do from file, if it is Microsoft Excel, if it is a CSV file, XML, JSON, PDF from a folder, or is it from a database? What kind of database? Is it from Azure? That's Microsoft Cloud Services, from any other online. SharePoint is Microsoft. From others, from web, Microsoft Query, like that. So what we want to do is to get from web. Now we'll go to our data set. Come to the URL here. This URL, you just click on it and you copy. And come to. So by the time I click from web, there's a prompt that will come up, and you paste your URL, right? So this edit here, I'm going to change it to export. What do I want to export? Then the comma, I'm going to leave it there. The format I want to export is Microsoft Excel XLSX. That's the format, XLSX. I'll click on OK. And so it said it's Google. Yes, it's Google. I want to connect to Google. I don't need any authentication per se, I think, because I've made this a view only. So it's trying to establish connection. So once it's done, a navigator is going to come up, and you are going to see the content of the data. So you have a table and you have a statement of account. This statement of account is what you are seeing here, that is acknowledging that. So inside this sheet, statement of account, is seeing the statement of account or is seeing the table itself. So this is the table itself, right? So you can choose anyone and it's fine. So sometimes you choose the table, sometimes you can just go the statement of account as a sheet. So this is a worksheet and this is a table inside the worksheet. So let's just say table 1. So the next thing you do is just to transform. Click on transform and your Power Query editor will come up. Now your Power Query editor, what you use it to do is just to manipulate data manipulation, and that's just it. So can you guys see my Power Query editor? Okay, good. And you can see the data that I just uploaded. Now mind you, I have about 5 more data on this particular data set. So what I can then do is just to go to, if you want, you can do it in order, right? If you so want, I'll right click and go to share copy link. I'll just go to my Power Query. Now instead of me to do the same thing again, I'll just say new source from file. No, I think from other services. I'll see web. I'll click on web. I can then paste the new link. Ctrl V. Go to where you see edit. After the /, you change it to export. Then the USP, you just change it to format. What format do you want to import this file as? I will now say XLSX and click on OK. So it's trying to establish a connection, and this time around is showing me a sheet, a Google a sheet instead of a table. I'll just click on OK. It's trying to evaluate. Now that I've finished loading my data, actually we would want to stack them on top of each other, right? So where this one ends, I want this to continue. Now, in order to do that in Power Query, you have to make sure that each of these tables, the columns on each of these tables are the same thing across board. Also, for table 1, you have the same column with statement of account and has the same column, and although we have a lot of empty rows here, but that's not really a problem. But you shall have similar columns that are the same thing. So subscription type, region, state, channel, account ID, and so on. If you go to statement of account 3, you still see the same thing, although you have extra column here. I think it's an error, but you don't really need to clean that. By the time you join them together, it automatically disappear. So you have to stack them on top of each other. Now, in order to do that, there is a tool here called append. So append is like stacking. So anytime I want to do an append, I usually like to append as new. I don't know if you get. So me personally, I always like to append as new. So I usually like to append as new, and that's because I want whatever it is I've append to not to be separate from these. So if I just append alone, it's going to combine all of these to one and distort one of the data set or all. And so I don't like to do that. I like to always append query as new. Now it's going to give you a prompt. So append, concatenate rows from 2 tables into a single table. 2 tables, no. Is it 2 tables? Actually, I want to concatenate multiple tables, right? So I'll highlight the radio box 3 or more tables. Now I really want them to be in order. So table 1, I'm going to add table 2. I think, can I add multiple? Oh, I can click shift. That's interesting. So I can click the first and hold shift button and click the last and click on add. Oh, that's interesting. I'll now click on OK. They said information is required about the data privacy. Continue. I don't know what that means. Oh, public. So ignore privacy level checks for this. Ignoring this could expose sensitive, confidential. Actually, it is. It's actually open. The data is actually open for everybody. I opened the file itself, and there's nothing really confidential about it because it's not specifying to anything. It's just a statement of account. I've altered a lot of the data there. So you can now see that it has turned to one giant data set. And let me scroll to the side and let's see if we'll see those empty columns again. Now, okay, so the empty columns still exist, but most of the data set has combined, and we can do a count of it, right? We can go to transform and count rows. So we have 111 rows of data. However, I also want to treat these columns, right? And so what I'm just going to do is I can select from transaction table. I'll hold my shift and select subscription table. Hold shift, select subscription table, and I will click on remove column. Now when I click on the drop down of remove column, I can either click on remove column or remove other columns. So for remove column is me removing the columns I've selected. Remove other columns is Any other column that I did not select, remove it, and that's what I want to do. So I'll just click on that, and you can see it has removed those columns completely. If you noticed, so it has removed the columns that I did not select. That's what remove other column means. And now I have a complete statement of account. Some things I don't need, maybe balance, maybe allocation, and you can use control and click on, so you select it independently, and I'll just say choose remove column. I can now say click on remove column, and remove column will just be column that I selected. What don't I need again? I think that is basically it. And now usually I'm going to load this data. Now I want to change the name of this data. I can just say SOA cleaned. I can just say SOA statement of account underscore cleaned. And by the time I change the name here, automatically the query name will change. And I can do close and load to. I usually like to do that, and that's because I don't like to load my data right away. I'll load only as only create connection. I love to do that, and all the queries will be there, including the cleaned. And what I can now do is right click and load to. And I'm going to load it as a table, and I'm not going to load it on existing worksheet. I'll load it on new worksheet, the way you do your pivot table, and it's going to create a new worksheet for me with the data set I just finished cleaning. And yeah, basically that is just it. Now I also want to import another table. So what I'm going to do, if I want to go back to my Power Query, I can just right click on my right hand side. You can see the query and connection. I can right click on any of the tables and click on edit, and it takes me to my Power Query that is on this particular workbook. It takes me to my Power Query. I'll go to new source as usual, click on it, go to others and click on web. Now I want to import this last guy here, which is services. I can just right click, share and copy link. I've already made this public and view only, and so I'm going to share it with you guys as well, so you guys can practice this. I'll click on, oh, I typed format before as a mistake, so I'll just go to here. It's supposed to be what, export, right? It's supposed to be export. Click on OK. Now this data set is quite different from the statement of account, and I just want to teach us some techniques of how to clean them. Now you're going to see a lot of okay, I have two tables there, two worksheets. I'll just select the both. I actually want to select the both. I want to import both. I'll just click on OK, and it's going to import both queries here. Now I want to be able to separate these queries and the cleaned data. So what I can do is just right click and click on new group. I'll just say cleaned. I'll just click OK, and so it's going to create a like folder like, and I'll just click and drag this guy up here, so it's a bit separate. So cleaned, I have one query there. Now let me click on my direct channel service plan. Now you can see a lot of look at what the service plan looks like. Let me click on it, the table itself. This is what it looks like, and right now it's having a lot of null values, and I really don't like those null values, so we have null values here. What I can just do is just to remove this column. That is one. So let me see. Let me do this. Okay, so we have our pricing, and there's like a null. There's a null value here, which I actually don't like. Okay, so now this pricing, maybe actually I want this product recurrent, non-recurrent for this year. This is pretty interesting. Okay, it's still fine. So I actually want this product recurrent, non-recurrent. I want them to be the header. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove this column, right? I remove column. I'm going to remove the top one, two, the top one, two rows. That's two rows. So I will just click on remove rows, go to top rows, and I want to remove the top two rows. The prompt is going to show up number of rows I want to remove. I'll just click on 2 and click on OK. Now the next thing I want to do is actually promote this row 1 to the header. So I can say come to use first row as header. I'll just click on the drop down and use first row as header. Then you can now see it. I think I'm going to remove every other thing other than this sheet. I'll remove every other rows. So I'm going to click on, so I'll click on the first row, which is the product row. I'm going to remove rows and remove blank rows. Okay, that's good. So I have installation cost of this. I actually want to remove this guy here. I don't need the first, that's the last two rows. So I can just click on remove rows and go to remove bottom rows, and I'll say bottom two. Then the other thing is I also want to remove these columns. Actually don't need these columns. That's this column 10, 11, like that. So I'm going to click on the last column I want to keep and hold shift and click on the first column, which is product. I will say remove columns. I will say other columns. Now that I'm done with that, I now have, oh, so it actually did like a reverse for me. I don't know why. You know what? I don't know why it did that. I really don't know why it did that. I didn't know why. I didn't really don't know why it remove other columns. It's not supposed to reverse my stuff for me, but it did that anyways. And I don't want that. I think, okay, I really don't want this. I want it to be in the same format I actually know them to be. Since it's not working the way I want it, I can just go to the last column and go to and click on column 10 while pressing holding shift and just say delete. Literally, I can click on delete and voila, we already have a table. And for the, we can add a column, right? And so for this recurrent and non-recurrent, we have a pricing time between 2022 and September 2023, and we can have that for so we can have that for each of this pricing for current and recurrent. but I'm trying to see for table wise we don't actually need it, but I think this in itself is fine for us to say it is cleaned, and yeah, I think that's basically it. So what I can then do is just reload two, and I think we are done. We've gotten our new queries here. Okay, good. I'll just load only as a connection and click on OK. So anytime I want to load to a sheet, I can actually do that. The one thing I want to do is to apply a text wrap here. And that's because the description is very long, so I actually want to apply a text wrap here, and that's basically it. So I can then decide to do I can apply a pivot table here. Let's say I want to do a month-to-month analysis of how much inflow has entered. I'll say insert, click on pivot table. Yes, of course I want to put my pivot table in a new sheet. I'll click on my transaction date. Nah, I don't want my transaction date to be there. Some weird reason this rows and this year and quarter always remain. So I'll just click and drag to yeah, and I actually do I want quarter, and let me leave it there. Then I can just click on amount, and automatically to just show me amount. So one thing I can also do is to say region. I'll just click on region and drag it to the row, and now you can see per region how much was made. So what I can do is just to click and drag on all of the data, the cell range there, right click and go to number format. Of course this number is currency and is in naira. So it automatically formats. So you can now make a statement that in the month of in the year 2022 or the company made 22 million, 2023 22 million, 2024 8 million. So there was an increment in price here about 2022 2023. You have an increment of somewhere around 900 and something thousand, but you have a decrement in 2024. The other thing I would want to do is just to go to design, report. I want to change it to tabular form, and because I just want to make my stuff look nicer and more presentable. What else? Now you see this plus sign here. By the time you click on this plus sign, you can see them by quarter wise and by month wise. You get, so each quarter you can do each quarter, the first quarter of 2022, that's quarter two, they made 2 million, 2.3 million. The second quarter they made 8.5 million, which showed growth. The third quarter they made 11 million. So you can see that there is a growth quarter by quarter wise. Does that make sense? Let me just click here. Okay, good. So you can see that there is a growth for 2024, 2023 7 million, 7.8, 7.9, 3.6 and 3.5. For 2024, let's see, 3.8, 3.1 and 1.1. Again, this is after importing all my data into Power Query. You can actually do a summary, and the good thing with this summary is by the time you do any new update, if I do any new entry, let's assume I have a new entry down here, it's actually going to populate it for me automatically, and I can then refresh and it's going to show me how much I have um, month on month wise. And you can do a lot of analysis with this. For me, how I use Power Query, I use it to automate tasks. I really don't need to write formulas, and it does it for me simple and easy. I don't know if that makes sense. And I can do a lot of crazy stuff with this thing. Really crazy stuff, like very crazy stuff. Hopefully, tomorrow I'll try and look for a data set that we can actually use to practice Power Query. We can do some really write some crazy formulas on it. Any questions? Hello? Any questions, please?
No, mine is not a question. Or let me say it's still a question. If you look at these queries and connections,
Mm-hmm.
we have cleaned, we have one data set there, and
Mm-hmm.
then the other ones we have different data sets. I
Mm-hmm.
remember the first day I was trying to explore this Power Query,
Mm-hmm.
and the data set I uploaded into the Power Query had three, was it three? Either 3 or 4 worksheets. So these other queries that I'm seeing, table one, statement of account, to, like, yeah, all of this. So if is it that they are on the same work, what's it called, worksheet, and so when you uploaded them, all of them now dropped on the Power Query?
No, no, no. I imported each of these are different imports. Remember?
Yeah.
They are different imports from different worksheets here, workbook, right? This is a separate workbook. These are not separate workbook. These are not separate workbook. Like that. If I import them, they will come as a separate query. It will come as one query. If I import another one, it will come as another query, like that. So they are from separate workbook. I don't know if that's the question that's the answer to the question you asked.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, you imported them from different workbooks.
Workbooks,
So,
yeah.
but what if in a situation where you have a workbook with like 3 or 4
Multiple,
sheets,
yeah.
multiple sheets?
Okay, which is what we had here. We have 2 sheets here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And which is what we had here. So they will come as these separate queries as well.
So if you are doing the data cleaning now, you are doing them independently, or you can now merge them the way you use that append.
So if you are doing any merge, if you are doing any append, it has to be that they have similar characteristics. Does that make sense?
Okay, okay, okay. So if they don't have anything similar, there's no need. By the time
No,
you just,
you keep
okay,
them separately.
okay.
Is that all, Abam?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've gotten it.
Jessica, what have you?
So now, like if you imported it and they're on the same workbook
Mm-hmm.
and they have different sheets, and you're done doing the work you want to do on the Power Query, and you load it to a different worksheet.
Workbook.
Sorry, a different workbook.
Mm-hmm.
Will you? The question I wanted to ask, keep my mind. Oh, sorry. Let me get back again.
Is it going to change the original data? Is that what you're trying to ask?
No, the question just me. I missed the question again, but I just let me think it. I'll get back. I'll ask again.
Now, so whatever you do in Power Query does not affect the original data set. You understand?
Yeah, I'm
Whatever you
aware
do
of
in
that.
so good. It doesn't affect the original data set. However, if you update the original data set, it affects it. It take effect on the Power Query. I hope you know that. And so hopefully tomorrow we'll get a data set that we use to clear all of those things. And want to write formulas, we're actually going to write formulas and write functions inside Power Query. Jessica, any questions? Ask now, please. Okay, do you understand?
I've remembered the question I want to ask you now.
Okay, ask.
So a workbook, let's say, has three worksheets.
Mm-hmm.
I bring all of them to Power Query,
Mm-hmm.
and in that, what I did was just to work on one worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I'm loading that one worksheet back to Excel, maybe as a pivot table
Mm-hmm.
or anything,
Mm-hmm.
will the other ones follow and load back to Excel on different worksheets or on the same worksheet?
Okay, so you can see that when we choose for this particular query here, this service workbook, it showed us multiple worksheet, and you had to select. We have to do multiple selections. You understand? We have to do multiple selections. Whatever you don't select and load out, transform, it doesn't appear in Power Query. Does that make sense? So if you have
Okay.
multiple worksheets and you only choose one of the worksheet that has some level of table, that is the only thing that appears. If you click on select multiple and you click on you select multiple sheet, so Power Query will only show you a query that you have selected in the first place and display. It will only display a query you selected in the first place or a table you selected in the first place. It's not going to. So if there are multiple worksheets in a particular workbook, if you don't select the rest, you only select one, it's only going to display for you one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense now. It makes sense.
So it doesn't do what you don't ask it to do, basically. So any other question, Jessica? You don't have Jessica, do you really understand what we just did, or you are just winging it? I really like Jessica is eating food though. So with that, we'll be coming to the end of this session. I'll upload the video shortly. Just refer to that particular YouTube link I sent to you guys.